it's been about a month. What has changed?
Not too much. I've put a couple new frags in. I've pruned a few things. That's basically it.
I had a few people comment about me not spending enough time talking about those major chalices at the bottom. Like, how big is this? It's probably at least 12 inches by 12, I'm thinking.
I would say, yeah. Yeah, that sounds about correct.
And do you know the name of that chalice?
Actually, I don't think it's a chalice. I
Ooh,
think
Favia?
no.
Okay. What is it?
One more guess. It's
I'm
Australian.
Australian,
And
like Bustamusa kind of thing?
no,
No.
it's supposed to be. I'm drawing a blank now.
Yeah. Not a chalice, not a Favia. I can't think of brain coral.
No. Usually has an individual polyps.
Oh.
God, I'm blanking.
Okay,
out.
we'll come back, or maybe our viewers are gonna help us answer that question. But this is insane. It's actually longer than 12 inches over here. Like
Yeah,
I'm
well, I've
thinking
had it for
14,
probably
16.
about 10 years, probably.
Yeah.
Right, so it's grown from a small colony that a friend of mine gave me.
Oh wow.
And, it's been around when I've made frags and given it to other people too.
Okay, I think let's go around just the bottom and maybe address some of the things that we didn't catch in the last video. Like this is some sort of a brain coral, I'm thinking?
I believe so, I'm not even sure.
Okay,
I'm very bad with names.
And then we've got another chalice.
Yeah, I
I'm
think so.
afraid to call it now. So zoas, a lot of people in the last video said that it's pretty cool what you're doing with the zoas, but I guess you got to beware getting into this hobby.
Yes, they can be a pest as well as a, you enjoy them a lot, but they tend to crawl up your corals and your rock work, so it can be a problem.
Speaking of things that crawl up the rockwork, you've got these
Sponges.
Sponges and anemones, right? So first, let's start with the sponges. Any issues with the sponges?
Not really. Nothing huge other than that. They're ugly.
I like it.
They need to be, controlled a little bit sometimes when they get onto things. You got to clean them off a little bit. But other than that, they don't really bother anything too much unless they encroach on them.
What about the anemones?
He is a bad boy, so to speak, because the foot is way down deep and I just can't get it out.
No.
But I do like it, right? And it's been fairly good. It stays in that one spot. So I build around it, so to speak.
Yeah, and it doesn't move. Like how long you've had it in this particular spot?
Oh, it's been there for probably about 4 or 5 years.
Oh wow. So it just goes to show you, if you create proper conditions, Now, is it like one anemone or multiple?
I believe it's one because when I poke it, the whole foot, everything goes back in.
Okay, and does it split?
It split once or twice before, but it hasn't recently, which I'm happy.
I've never seen a bubble tip this large because, again, this is at least, I want to say, 14 inches.
It's not even fully open yet, not even close. It comes up and it's all just about touching the SPS on the top.
That is insane. It's like a carpet anemone is in size.
Yes, it is.
And, okay, I got to ask about the clowns because you've got a couple of, I guess, percula clowns, but also there's another percula, but it's black.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
It's just what I put in the tank. Most of the clowns were basically given to me when other people shut their tanks down, and I just kind of throw them in and they find their own spot.
And is it the only 3 clowns you have in this tank?
No, there's a couple more. There's one right here.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
There's that guy right there. I like that guy because he's got that little white dot on him.
I know, this is pretty
it's
cool.
It's just kind of cute, right? And then there's another one over there.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Yep.
But how do they hang around and like what's going on here? Like you've got a triple of them in one place, but...
Yeah. Well, they all seem to have their own territories. And, it's... if this guy goes close to those guys, they chase him away, sort of thing.
But do you know if those 3 are like boy, girl, girl, or?
I'm not even sure, but I see them at times. It looks like they've got eggs or something, and they're fanning the eggs and that sort of thing.
And just for reference, especially the black one is probably one of the biggest clowns I've seen. Like it's size of a maroon clown, but this is a percula.
Well, I had some lightning maroons before.
Yeah.
And I had to take them out. They were hosting in that anemone. I had to take them out because they just got too aggressive.
Just so every time you put your hand in, like they would try to bite?
They will bite you, that's for sure.
And it hurts compared to these guys, right?
Yeah.
Like,
They're big and
buddy.
bad.
look at this guy, the Achilles. Everybody's doing great. So, and my favorite sailfin. Look at that guy. Okay, moving on. I really like those mushrooms. I especially like this one on the right. Like this is something I haven't really seen in the hobby too much. This is beautiful. Have you? Oh, and look at. I just wanted to ask you about bounce, and then I see one guy that's kind of bouncing. How did that happen? Just
I collect a few things and it just happens to bounce.
oh, nice.
Some of them, sometimes they bounce and you don't even expect it. So
That is pretty nice. So the whole thing is about the mushrooms over here, and then I think we just have tons of mushrooms at the bottom. And yeah, look at the shrimp. I noticed that this is kind of your shrimp station where fish will come up to get cleaned.
this is where they all seem to hang out.
Nice.
There's I believe 8 cleaners and 2 bloods in here.
Oh wow!
And that's their hangout. They don't seem to go anywhere else in the tank.
Now, if you dose interceptor in the tank, would you lose them?
I'd say that's a 95% probability.
So if you were faced with that, like what would you do in a tank like this?
Try and somehow trap them,
Oof.
which would be
Next to
difficult.
impossible. Yeah. Oh.
Difficult, but not necessarily impossible.
Wow. Yeah, I hear you. We had a few people ask about the fragging system that you use or the pegging system because I notice now that you kind of took it to the next level. Not only you've made holes in your rock, but you've got the colonies on yet another pieces of rock.
Yes. So the original rock that you see in the tank, I'd say 90% of it is real rock. Right. The ones that are branching, I'd say probably 95% are all man-made, which I then drilled lots of holes in them and pegged them to the original rock.
Yes.
And so it's more like a pagoda sort of a system where they're up off the rocks, and this allows a lot better flow in around the corals. And with the sea swirls and the wavy sea that I have there, it just moves the water around the corals, flushing them, cleaning them, and it just seems to be a good system for me.
Yeah, this is it's pretty cool. It kind of like it reminds me a little bit of the TSA, Top Shelf Aquatics, how they did it with the pipes, but this is a lot more natural looking.
Yeah.
So I do like it. And I guess moving on to your corals, let's maybe geek out a little bit on some of the Acropora. You've got tons of Acropora, and I must say this tank looks probably the best it's ever looked. I've like really enjoying some of the colors, but what I'm really envious of is polyp extension. I don't think I've seen polyp extension like this in many other tanks, including myself. What do you attribute that to?
It's hard to say. I've always had pretty good polyp extension. I don't know if it's the flow where it's a little bit more random, where it's not a constant flow on the corals, because they're hit, then it comes off of them, and they're hit again, right? And it seems to work really well. The tank is fed quite a bit. I have benefits.
Yep, benefits.
That I feed. I believe it's on a feeder, an Eheim feeder, and it feeds 4 times a day. And then there's 3 other feeders in the tank also that feeds pellets, a mix of different pellets.
Oh wow!
I'm actually trying some Benefits pellets now, which is fairly new, and the fish seem to really like it.
Really?
Yeah.
How big are the granules? Like
There's 2 different sizes. I prefer the smaller size because everybody can eat it. The bigger size, it's only the big fish that will actually eat it.
But it's kind of handy, right? Because otherwise, those guys, like if a fish like this, which is again maybe 10 to 11 inches long, it's going to take forever to hunt down those little granules.
Yeah, well, they hunt them down and they eat it, right? So it's not a problem.
Sheesh.
It's just that when you use only the big ones, they're the only ones that will eat it. So I sort of mix them into the feeder, and everybody gets a little bit of something.
That polyp extension, I'm telling you, like you're doing something right, because This is so enjoyable to observe those colonies like
You
that.
know what? I'm trying to get my nitrates down. I think they're a little bit high,
Yeah.
which my HANA test kit had a bad reagent, and I was
Ooh.
testing it and it was telling me it was like below 5.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely is not below 5 because I've tried different test kits and ICP and it's like above 30.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, that was a little bit of a surprise to me.
But yet, you know, everything
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. The
working great.
colors are good. I've been doing ICPs. I've been trying to adjust the elements to get it more natural.
Mm-hmm.
And the color is doing really well. I haven't lost anything. I think I lost one frag maybe 6 months ago, and that was it. Haven't lost anything at all in the tank. So, you know,
Wow.
knock on wood, that's
Yes.
really good, especially when you put, you know, you can see there's quite a few new little frags in there, right?
I
And
certainly
they're hard
can.
sometimes to, you know.
But I just cannot get enough of that polyp extension and the color. Like this is as picture perfect as it gets. So your nitrates are a little bit on the high side. What about your phosphates? What are they like?
Phosphates are generally in the 0.06 to 0.12 range sort of thing. And, you know, when I test, I adjust sort of thing. I use 2 little fishes. I think it's called Phos something. I forget the name of it. But it's basically a lanthanum chloride based.
Oh, to bring it down.
Right.
I got you.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what corals are your kind of canary in a coal mine, in the sense that, like, what are the things, the signs you look for to know whether you need to make any changes to your nutrients or anything?
Well, you know, when we're keeping so many different corals from so many different places, it's difficult to make everything absolutely happy. Right, so especially on a mixed reef,
Case in point, this forest fire Monty,
which is a frag I got from you that looked spectacular when I got it, and you can see right now it's not very happy.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Right, but you know, all the other SPS is happy, the LPS seems to be happy. Right, so it's hard to say sometimes.
Yeah, and the torches. Okay, for torches, I'm on a bit of a torch kick right now, so like I really enjoy
So am I.
that. It's just one of those things where they finally have become a little bit more affordable compared to how insane it was before, and you've got such a variety of colors and all of that good stuff. Now, I watched a few videos recently on this, and some folks are saying you have to give them like medium flow and medium light, but some people are saying medium flow and high light. Some are saying, you know, high, they can even handle the high flow or low flow. What is your thought process on that?
Well, if you give them too much flow, especially if they're hit directly, they're just not going to open up as much. So it's more medium high. Mine are all in mostly medium light because, as you can see, they're lower in the tank compared to the SPS, and they seem to be happy and growing. The only thing I noticed the other night, one of my torches was sent a sweeper over and was stinging my hammer. So I had to separate them a little bit.
And would you kind of do the same for other Euphilia type, so hammers and frog spawns?
They seem to tolerate each other a little bit better, but I tend to keep them separate.
But what about the conditions? Would you treat them very similar?
Well, no. The hammers and the frog spawns, less flow.
Even less flow
than torches. Torches can definitely handle a lot more flow than they can. That's why you can see, in particular in this section of the tank, there's more flow here because I have an MP60 blowing along that side, right? Plus the closed loop and the main returns that are being rotated through the sea swirls.
And just to point out the whole lighting thing, you've got I think it's the same species of torch here and below.
Yep.
And you can see that this guy is getting a lot more light than the two underneath because they are actually shaded by Acropora.
Yep.
And the real difference is maybe this one is a little bit lighter compared to those two darker, but they're all healthy and exhibit the same color.
All those came from one original frag.
Yes.
which if you look over here, all this right here in this
wow.
location
Yes.
is from that one frag, which I chopped up last year, right? And, you know, sold off a whole bunch of it. Like I'd say easily 50% of what I have here to
Oh
maybe,
my God.
you know, almost half, right? Of what, and I still have a lot of it and it's just growing back. So it's good.
And last question. Can you name each one of those corals with its stupid names?
No, I know. The golden one is a banana,
Yeah.
banana, then the other one is a true gold.
Tiger tails and holy grails and
I don't know.
oh my
I don't
God.
know.
Yeah, I can
You know,
I cannot.
There's one there that's kind of cool because it's got pink and blue polyps.
This guy over
end?
here or
This guy right here.
Oh yeah, look at that. Oh yeah, it's got the mixture. It's
Yeah.
got the blue and pink. Oh, I see. That's pretty neat. Wow.
So I liked it so much I actually have two of them.
Well, this is your hobby. You gotta really,
Yeah.
you know, enjoy it. Okay, I think it's enough of an update of this tank, but let's take a look at.
You didn't look at the rest of the chalices?
Yes. Okay, let's let's do that. Thanks for a heads up. So, okay, this is a chalice now,
Yes,
right?
that's a chalice, 100%.
Okay, what? It's a beautiful color as well. Like you've got blue and red rim. Hopefully, it kind of spills over where you
Yellowy
can
gold,
have
yeah.
both of them in the same time.
Yep,
Ooh, I like these ones. It's
plate corals.
what are they?
I think they're just called plate corals.
Oh, plate. Yeah. So it's a plate. But what I really like is the mouth. The mouth on this thing is like bright orange compared to green and purple. Oh, these are beautiful, beautiful guys. And moving on, we've got yet. I guess it's another. You think it's a chalice?
I think it's a chalice also.
Okay, very bubbly. And the one that we came, well, actually, two things we got is we got to first see this infamous. I guess it's a chalice as well that came from Carl.
Right.
So if you go back a couple of videos, you'll see I've done an interview with Carl, and he talked a lot about this fragging. Look at that! You've now have a piece of history.
Well, Carl and I basically we share almost everything when it comes to corals. We bank for each other.
Yes.
So he'll bring something to me. I give him whatever I have. He gives me what he has, as long as they're fraggable.
Reefer's code.
Right.
That's how it is. And tell me about this guy over here.
Okay, that chalice I got from a buddy of mine, Joe, a few years back.
Okay.
Last year it didn't do that well, and then it recovered. And I fragged it and gave Joe back a frag of it. And my buddy Carl and my buddy Vance. I spread it around that everyone has a little piece of it. It's backup. If I ever lose it, because you never know what can happen.
You never know in this stupid hobby. Sometimes those things happen, and you always want to throw in the towel, especially in the summer months.
Yep.
But come December, January, things are starting to itch.
Yeah, usually around November, I find. October, November,
There we go. All right, fish room it is. And the fish room starts with filtration. So tell me a little bit about the how the water flow goes and the overflow and circulation, all of that good stuff.
So what you're looking at there now is a closed loop, which is on an Ocean's Motion 4-way. Have that for years. I think I need to service it. But basically it rotates between two heads at a time within the tank. And that's an M2 Vectra that's running that.
Sorry, what is this contraption again?
It's called an Ocean's Motion. So it's a powered unit. Okay, it's got a little motor on the top of it, which rotates a disc on the inside of it. So it allows flow through two outlets at a time.
I don't think I've seen that in a hobby.
That's closed loop, that's old school. Paul from Ocean's Motions built that many years ago.
That is, and do you know if it's still available?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Paul is still doing it. He's a local guy that, very ingenious guy.
That is insane because like you don't want everything the flow to be the same between all the outlets.
About every 4 seconds it changes the flow.
I absolutely love it.
Right, so that's on that. Then
and you have it the same on the other one, or
no? The other one I've got 4 outlets on that Abyss. A400, I believe it is.
Oh yeah. That's bad boy.
That's one of the ones that Jay took off his tank, the freshwater tank.
Yes.
right? So
doesn't get hot at all.
no, no, the pump doesn't get hot. The driver gets a little bit hot.
Ah, okay, I
So
got you.
that has basically heat sink on it to keep it cooler.
And you have M2, not L2 on this thing?
That's an M2, yeah. Yeah.
Why? Probably at some point you should upgrade to L2.
Well, it's only going through 2 outlets at a time,
Yeah.
right? So, and it's hitting the bottom of the coral, so I think it's fine. I don't think I really need that much more.
So where do they come out?
You don't even see it. So if you look right here, this is
Oh
one,
my God! Yeah.
right? There's another one there.
Oh wow! Yeah,
Right.
this is the beauty
And-
of closed loop, right?
Yeah, and then there's 2 more on the other side.
Yeah.
So that's those 4.
Okay.
So the abyss now, basically it does that back return there, over
Yeah.
there. So that one, and there's a similar one on the opposite side of the tank, right? And then it feeds these 2 sea swirls.
Yeah.
So
let's,
this one up here,
yeah.
and that one,
Perfect.
the other one at the back, which is actually a wavy sea.
Okay.
So
Shall we?
with the flow that I'm getting now, with them, before my sweet spot always used to be at the front of the tank, this section of the tank here,
Yeah.
which you can see the flow, which is coming from my
Yes.
other abyss pump from the basement. So, you know, this was always a sweet spot because you get the most random, strong flow going over the corals. With now that I have the abyss instead of a M2, right, you can see if you look at as it's hitting the coral there,
Yeah.
you can see how it moves the polyps.
Yeah.
So it goes, the whole tank now has a basic sweet spot across the tank mostly.
Wow. And do you get any detritus at the bottom, or not? Not a huge thing in itself.
It's not a huge thing. I'm sure it collects more in the middle, which occasionally I go in there and I try and siphon some out,
Wow.
but not very frequently. You know.
That looks phenomenal. And then you've got some electrical. This is the MP60.
Yeah, MP60, and then that's the M2.
Yeah. Okay.
So as you can see, it was originally an M1, and I changed the pump body.
Wow. That
Right.
is. Oh, I didn't know that they were compatible. That's
Yeah,
pretty
they
cool.
actually are. Yeah,
Sweet.
they actually are, and you can take the body and put it right onto the old housing head, so you don't have
nice.
to change your plumbing.
Yeah. That's always a pain because they made it wider, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So the overflow goes at the back of the tank.
Yep.
It goes down underneath those 2 hoses that go down, and it goes down to the basement. There's a holding tank in the basement that it goes into first, and then it's diverted to whatever I want to send it to.
Okay, let's take a look at the basement.
All right.
Okay, let's.
So entering the fish room. Basically, you can see this is my mixing station right here as we're
Okay.
passing my RO system
Yeah.
and my mixing station, my salt. I use ESV salt.
How long you've been using that for?
Probably a year now. I think
And?
it's great salt. Really
Yeah.
pure, mixes very clean. It's a 4-part salt mix, so it's not
Oh,
just
God.
dump everything in. That's why I use the 50-gallon mixes. You do the
How
salt.
long does it take?
It mixes within half an hour. You're all done. So
But
you
it-
mix one first.
Yeah.
Then you mix the magnesium.
Okay.
Then you put the trace elements in. You don't even have to wait that long. Like probably 15 minutes, you're done, and it's mixed perfectly clean and clear.
So over here, this is what? About 160 gallons? Or this is a 50
These
gallon?
are 50-gallon mixes.
Ah.
I can open it up and I can
Yeah.
show you what it's like after, if you like.
And you've got like drums, right?
Drums.
which
So
are
this is a
50
seven.
gallons.
No, this is about 70.
Okay.
This is my salt.
Yeah.
Right. This is my RO unit with a buddy booster, my TDS meters.
Where's the buddy booster?
Right here.
Oh, okay.
RO buddy booster or something like that. So
What does it do?
It boosts your pressure.
And
So instead of getting only 60 psi, I have 100 psi going to both my membranes.
so it just goes faster.
Right. Makes the water better, and it's just designed to work a lot better with an RO unit.
Ah, okay. And it's through the electricity, right?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, nice. Do they sell it in Canada, I think?
Yeah. I think I got this one from Fragbox.
Oh, sweet. I gotta check it out.
So old RO units,
Yeah.
which I've replaced. You can see the membrane was replaced in November last year. I just replaced the membrane on this one yesterday.
Uh-huh.
So basically, I have pre-filter carbon, then it goes to the buddy booster, who
Yep.
then increases the pressure, puts it through the membranes.
Yep.
Then it goes back to the buddy booster. Then it goes through.
Sorry, it goes through the buddy booster twice?
Yeah. Well, there's 3 lines
Yeah.
to it each, right? So in and out 3 times. Right?
Just enough? One pressure is not enough, right?
No, it goes in and out, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
then.
Sorry, and there is 2 membranes?
Yes.
So
two
how does it work?
75-gallon membranes. So I just have a Y. So
Yeah.
if you notice, there's a Y
Yeah.
here. So after the carbons and the
Ah.
pre-filters, it goes to each membrane.
Yes.
Then after the membranes, it goes back up there, it comes back, and then it goes through 3 DI chambers.
And you bring it back together?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is... I don't think I've seen anything like
Yeah.
that before.
These little Ys I use,
Yeah.
or Ts. And then Ts are for the TDS meter.
So how long does it take to fill up a full drum, like 70 gallons?
Full drum
Yeah.
within a day.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
It's really fast.
Okay.
So
So,
this is the RO unit. It makes, I have over here
yeah.
2 reservoirs.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're probably 30 gallons each, right? They're not very big, but I did 2 of them,
Okay.
right? So this is all RO water.
Okay.
And then it gravity feeds through here, or
Gravity is
whatever,
the best.
down to here,
Yeah.
which is the salt mixing bin.
And this is the thing you open?
Right.
Cool.
So if
Okay.
I need to put water in
Yep.
there, or I can use a float switch.
Mm-hmm.
Open a valve and then it'll fill up
Okay.
automatically, right? Then the mixing station is mixed using an M1,
Yep.
right? Just a closed loop sort of thing, and then
Okay.
open a valve
I got you.
and it will pump over and into the sump for when I do water changes.
Ah. This is crazy professor vibes
Yeah,
I'm
this
getting.
is something that's all been added over the years. Remember, the tank is 18 years old in this
Yes.
location, right? So basically what happens, the water comes from upstairs.
Okay.
It goes into this reservoir container right
Okay.
here, which I built out of acrylic,
Yep.
and lots of valves and stuff. Basically, feeds everything
I love
from there.
Yeah.
So there is one line there which goes over to here, which
Yes.
was the refugium before.
Yeah, I remember you had like red and green.
Yeah, I got tired of cleaning it.
Oh yeah.
I got tired of cleaning it, right? So
And yet you have a second skimmer. Like, what's going on with that?
I just put that in there a couple of days ago just to increase the oxygenation of the tank because I was servicing the other one.
Oh wow.
So I'd taken this one out,
Yes.
and I just haven't taken it off. So this one I had taken out,
Yeah.
soaked it in vinegar for 2 days, cleaned everything out, and then put it back on.
Oh, that is.
So the water
Wow.
comes over to
Yeah.
here, gravity fed.
Yep.
Then it's gravity fed back from here back to the sump.
So right now you don't using it other than
No,
curing your frags and
Yeah, my frag plugs.
frag plugs. What's the benefit of having them in the water? What do you think?
Basically, there's no bubbles, and they actually leach. There's something that they leach. I forget the name of it,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of the elements that we're trying to put back into the tank.
Yeah.
So I just
So
put
might
them
as
in
well.
there. May as well have
Yeah.
them leach it into the tank because I'm low on that element.
Nice.
Selenium or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
remember exactly what it is.
Okay. How did you find out about this little
My friend
trick?
Patrick told me.
Sweet.
Apparently,
Patrick.
all the big frag
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
are high in that element, and they traced
Oh.
it back to the frag plugs.
Okay. Now this used to be your actual display tank. God knows how many
20 years ago.
right? So-
20 years ago. This was my 120, which was in my living room at my old house.
Yeah.
So when I moved here, I just repurposed it as my sump. So it's
Okay.
120 gallons short,
Mm-hmm.
which is 2 foot by 2 foot by 4 foot.
Yeah.
All right, and I just put some baffles in. I didn't even at that time. I didn't even have filter socks back then. We didn't have filter socks.
Yeah.
So I modified it to put filter socks in there.
And the ones that you put in are like tiny.
Yeah, they're just 4 inch. There's 3 of them, so I have to change them twice a week.
Wow. And this is how you heat the system, right?
Yes, yes, that's a coil of PEX,
Yeah.
which is then it's controlled by 2 things. There's a temperature controller up there and the apex. So it's redundancy,
Okay.
right? So both have to turn on at the same time
For you to work.
for it to work. Basically, what it does, it sucks hot water from my heating system,
Yep.
right, through the lines right here,
Mhm.
right, through that pump up there.
Okay.
I just repurposed that pump out of it was a tankless water heater. Right,
Gotcha.
so I took it out of it, and it basically, when they both turn on, saying you need heat, The pump turns on, sucks hot water out, pumps it through the coil, and then back over to the hot water tank. Not tank, but the tankless water heater.
I see.
All right. So it's like it's in a closed loop, so to speak. But that's what heats the tank.
Sheesh. This way you don't need to invest in any
Electric heaters.
Electric heaters, right?
That's for sure.
One less thing to go wrong. Or leach something.
Exactly.
All
you know what?
stuff.
Honestly, the heater isn't on that much anyway. Recently, anyway.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I like also how you've organized things and you've got like a little.
Well, the sink was the first thing that went in when I moved here.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who was a plumber who used to be in the hobby also came over and put the sink in for me.
And I'm sure you use it regularly.
Constantly.
For anything, including water changes, right?
Yeah. All my drains go down into that sink. That pipe is a drain that's coming from over here.
Okay.
Which the Alkatronic. They say you can put the reagent back into the tank. I don't do that. I drain it all the way across there from the testing and stuff. And I also drain my Trident also. Yep. Rather than using a jug that I used to do to catch it. So it all goes into that drain, comes over to the...
Okay, we'll talk about this in a second, but first let's just finish with the flow. Yes,
so coming from upstairs now, it comes into here, it goes through the UV sterilizer.
Okay.
Bulb needs to be replaced. It should have been replaced in November.
Let me ask you a question about UV. If the water is not flowing, is there, I guess, the way you've positioned it, there's still going to be water inside.
There's always water in there.
So it's not going to burn this way.
There's always water in there, yeah.
Okay, continue.
So it goes, there's a flow meter there that doesn't work anymore.
Okay. Well, good try though.
Right, it worked for a little while, but it then comes down and it goes down into here, across the bottom of this tank.
Yeah.
And then there's pumps here for circulation and stuff, and then it just goes gravity from there to this tank over here, and then back to the sump.
That is good, and this way you don't need to invest in any extra equipment. It's very clean.
Right.
Extra water volume.
Right.
The only thing you need to do is just clean the glass.
Less pumps for moving stuff.
Yeah.
I like gravity. Gravity always works. And it's free.
Yes. And less things to go wrong, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about all of the contraptions here. This is like the biggest calc reactor I think I've seen in person.
You know what? It was it's a homemade calc reactor.
Okay.
Basically, it's a hexagon tank.
Yeah. You don't see those anymore in the hobby.
You know what? My brother-in-law had this sitting in his basement for 20 years and he never used. So I said, can I have it, right? So I basically, there's a little power head on the bottom.
Okay.
Right? I put calc in. It's got its own top-up with a float switch. I put a sealant on the top to seal it all up so there's no extra air going in. And it basically, that power head is always mixing. I probably have to replace them 6 months to a year because
that's not too bad.
It's going to eat it up, right? And basically what happens is there's a Camor pump which then sucks it and pumps it to the upstairs right into the overflow. So it mixes with all the overflow coming back down. And it's, I believe, 3 to 4 mils per minute constantly. All right. And and then there's the calcium reactor, which I turned back on again the other day.
And there's 3 chambers?
3 chambers. So there was an original small chamber that was with it. Yeah. And I had this hanging around, which was so I just made a second chamber out of it also.
What did it used to be before this tube, the big one? Yeah.
It was actually used as a reactor. My friend Matthew made it many years ago. That's acrylic. Sorry, that's PVC. It's not acrylic. So it's all clear. PVC. Yeah, clear PVC.
I don't think I've seen that
it's solid, very expensive. Yeah. But this, like I said, this is probably 20-25 years ago that was made.
And it's DUI, eh?
Yeah, it's DUI. So Matthew had made it, and I just kind of modified it to do what I needed to do. And, that's basically how that works. So the calcium reactor now is being controlled by 2 things. Yeah. So the pH in there is controlled by the apex, right? But the Alkatronic, is actually controlling the dosing pump. So if my alk is higher than the set point, which it is now because I did a bit of a water change yesterday. And I had to use a little bit extra reef crystals to make up.
Yep.
So you'll see it says 8.73.
Yeah.
All right, so it's off now because it has to drop lower than 8.4 for the calcium reactor dosing pump to come back on.
Okay.
Right? So it controls the dosing pump that way.
Okay.
Right? So so it doesn't climb too high. Right? So the Alkatronica now, I have it testing every hour because it's cheap compared to a Trident, and you can do it. And I'm looking at the trends and all that. All right? And I mix up 4 liters of reagent at a time.
I like how you've done the stirrers.
So that stir comes on every hour for about 5 minutes. It won't turn on.
Ah, okay.
Because it actually has to turn on via the apex. So I can turn it on if you would like.
Oh, I want to see it spin.
It mixes that every hour for about 5 minutes.
What
right?
I'm amazed. Sorry, continue.
So it's not only that mixes. If you look down here, there's where my magnesium, my calcium, and my alkalinity dosing is controlled. It's mixed also. So I have 3 MP10s. Yeah. All right, which
right over there.
The 4th one is just a power head. I didn't have an extra one.
Okay.
So I have 3 MP10s that mix every hour for 5 minutes, and the mixer also. Let me find the outlet for
now, what happened to me was that pill eventually made started to make a little hole in the acrylic that was sitting on.
That's quite possible. I haven't noticed that yet, but it's quite possible.
Yeah, I'm noticing that here. Oh, yeah, beautiful. Now we're levitating.
So you'll see the MP10s came on also.
Yeah.
And it's mixing all this other stuff also.
Oh, sweet. And how often? Every hour?
Every hour for 5 minutes.
Okay, nice. So it's always in the best possible way. That is wild. And I like how you've labeled everything, so you know.
Trying to. Trying to be organized.
Alkatronic reagent. How long does Alkatronic reagent last, like this container?
Okay, so I go through probably, because it depends on how much you're testing, right?
Yeah.
So I go through about, I would say, a half a liter every 2 weeks.
Okay, that's
right, and
not too bad.
That's testing every single hour.
Yeah.
Right. So if you test less, it's not going to be anywhere close to that.
That is neat, and everything is nicely organized. What do you usually use your little display for?
Well, this one is for the Alkatronic.
Oh, okay.
So
we will not look at your code.
So
security averted.
So that's showing what the Alkatronic is doing.
Oh, sweet. So why does it show 8?
Because it wasn't. It has to come back online.
Ah, okay. I got you.
It's connecting now, so it'll probably show.
Reconnect in a second. Yeah. I like it. Oh yeah, 873. Here we go.
And then what I also have is there's an interface between the Alkatronic and my Apex.
Oh.
So I can see on my Apex what the Alkatronic. It's usually not exact.
Yeah.
But it's right that one. So it says 8.69.
Oh.
Right. So it's 0.04 different.
Because it's probably converting to something else and then something back,
exactly, right? So,
gotcha.
But it gives me where I can look at both at the same time.
Yep.
Where, my Trident saying 8.7, this is saying 8.69. So I have an idea where it is. It's actually testing right now, the Trident, because it's 12 noon.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on with it.
And how would you compare Trident accuracy, or like just the numbers, to the Alkatronic ones? Are they pretty close?
Right now, they are.
Yeah.
There's times where the Trident needs service and you got to clean, recalibration, that sort of thing. You got to clean out the vial. I hear they're coming out with a new unit.
Well, I saw it on YouTube the other day. Some folks are talking about it. And you've seen Hydra's just announced their, the Holy Grail.
I would like for people to test them for 6 months to a year first, and then we make decisions. I don't
All
want to
right.
be the guinea pig.
Well, I'm okay being the guinea pig. If anybody wants
Yeah,
to
if they're going to send it to us,
send it, I'll test it and
we'll
I'll
test it. We'll test
talk
it for
about
sure,
it.
but I'm not going to
Just-
buy it.
No, no, I will not hook it up to anything automatic. Let's
Yeah,
put it this way.
yeah. Well, with the Alkatronic, I waited like
Yeah.
3 or 4 years
Yeah,
before it became available to me at a half price, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So it was used,
nice.
right? So
But it's a nice, beautiful unit. I like
Yeah.
how it fits the color scheme and
Yeah.
everything looks pretty good.
all the orange matches.
And then what do we have over here? So you have the proverbial diamond
Yeah.
saw,
Yeah,
right?
so that's my fragging station over here. It's just where I keep my testing equipment,
Mm-hmm.
glues, just anything you need for around the tank. Frag dip,
Mhm.
accelerator, measuring cylinders
Yes.
to measure stuff, measuring cups. The dosing
there.
pumps are all there for dosing.
I like
And
the
my test
caddies
kits, my
for
caddies,
for the
yep.
Hana.
Yep.
This is beautiful.
Yeah,
Okay.
for my frag racks, I use these legs to hold
Cool.
them up.
Okay.
And
I've
made
seen
by me
those
too. Yep.
somewhere as well.
Yep.
Folks, it's all on treasurecorals.com. A little shameless plug. Okay. Tell me a little bit about your fragging philosophy. Like, what do you usually try to frag? When do you try to frag it? And how do you organize it? All of that good stuff.
Basically, I just frag when the stuff is overgrown.
Yes.
I don't try and I don't frag to order, so to speak.
Okay.
Right? It's just when stuff is grown and needs fragging.
And what do we have here in your frag? Primarily some mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you've grown a lot of them. And zoas.
So this is my softy area, so to speak,
Uh-huh.
mostly, right? So
And
there's
then-
less flow in that tank, and
And
then
then
this
you've got
one
the
is
hard
more my
coral.
SBS.
Very, very neat.
Yep.
What kind of fish do you usually keep in your, frag system?
Well, I basically have 2 tangs in there and some extra clowns because I have the anemones.
Wow, and these are big
Yeah,
tangs
they've,
as well.
they've grown.
Okay, I recognize the NASA. Who's the other guy?
That's a lieutenant.
Ah,
So that actually came from Carl.
no way.
When he talked about his original tank leaking,
Yeah.
basically he threw all his fish in a bucket and brought him here.
What a gorgeous fish. And you don't really see lieutenants very often in the
No,
hobby,
no.
nor something as big as this guy.
No,
That is wild. And you of course have a fish feeder here as well.
yes, there's a
Very-
fish feeder, probes for dosing. So things are dosed in separate areas. For instance, calcium and alkalinity are dosed in 2 separate areas, just in case the
Precipitation and
right,
all
yeah,
that good
because
stuff.
sometimes for some reason the apex wants to dose both at the same time.
Oh, and you actually have a copper band in there.
He is brand new.
Ah.
I've had him in there for maybe a couple of weeks. I'm trying to train him to eat Aptasia and
Yeah.
get him fattened up before I put him upstairs. So there was a little Aptasia in here that I put in here yesterday.
And it's
and
gone?
It seems to be gone. I don't
Well,
see it. So
let's
that's a
hope.
good sign.
Let's hope he's the guy to do it.
And there's lots of pods in here, so he'll feed a lot easier and
Yeah.
no competition, right? So
Oh, no, for sure.
Yep.
This is pretty cool. Well, Dane, I think we've done one hell of a tour over here. This is an exemplary system. I'm always impressed with folks that have that can dedicate a part of their basement if they're lucky enough to have a room downstairs. This is definitely my dream. This is what I would do if I ever had a situation like this. It makes it so much easier to maintain the tank and look after it.
absolutely does. It's my little getaway sometimes. You come down here and you do stuff on the tank and, clear your head, so to speak.
Two more questions. One is, how many times have you flooded your fish room?
That happens more frequently than you'd think, right? So it's usually
Yeah.
every couple of months you leak something or
Yeah.
you're topping up your my reservoir for salt, and I leave the RO water on, and it floods and it goes onto the floor. Usually it doesn't go very far, but when we did the basement, we put a dimpled material under it, so anything going further towards the drain, it will drain under that,
Yes.
so it won't damage the basement.
It's so refreshing to have just the concrete, because like
Yeah.
if you spill even a half a bucket,
You don't
not
worry
a big
about it.
deal.
Yeah, throw some towels down.
Yeah.
You have a wet vac. You know, you vacuum up whatever, and you're good to go.
And then the second question, for this year, anything you want to change? Any plans like come the next few months, or are you content?
I'm pretty content,
Mm-hmm.
unless someone wants to, one of these manufacturers want to sponsor me with something to play with.
There you go. Let's let that be the channel where people find out. And if anybody has a product they want to send Dayne, please reach out. And I'm sure he's got room to incorporate it. Dayne, thanks a lot for showing us around. I really enjoyed this, and you are an inspiration. Hopefully, we'll do another one in next year.
Thanks for coming.